Hello, hello there, my crafty friends. It's Candy here from SweetStamper.com. And I am excited to be with you tonight. We are going to do some coloring. So I'm going to give it a couple of minutes here and see if people can find me and make sure that I am in camera. I think everything is looking good. So we are going to look at ways to color. Give you a few little visuals here while we're gathering, and I'm getting all my paraphernalia. I actually need to put this, let's kind of slide some things here. Hey Kelly, I'm glad to see you here tonight. We are going to have lots of fun. We're going to do some watercoloring. And we are going to look at blends, watercoloring, watercolor pencils. Yeah, we are going to do all things coloring. So I've got lots of paper towels here. Hey, Corinne, Kathy, great to see you guys tonight. Hello, hello. And yes, I think I have a basket full of coloring supplies. So let's see how we get on here. Let's see. We are heavily into prepping for Card Club for June, where I am featuring this adorable Lily Pond Lane suite. I absolutely love it. And we are going to look at coloring. Okay. I think we are ready. Get a chair and start by sitting. We'll see how long I can sit. I usually prefer to stand when I am stamping. Okay, now let's look just briefly at Lily Pond Lane because this is my feature for Stamp Club this month. And if you are not yet a member, you are going to want to jump in to membership for great pricing on a fabulous kit that's delivered to you and has everything you need to make 8 unique cards. You get a half a pack of this paper. You have I got these ahead of time so that I can deliver them to my Stamp Club members. These are unavailable right now. And then we have some gorgeous ribbon as well. So this is what when I looked in the catalog, this caught my eye right away. I love, love, love these colors. And let me just grab, here we go. But I will say, a lot of times when you have this much bright color, you need a little bit of something neutral underneath it, which is what I did here, to kind of help actually to set off the colors, unless you want to do a full-on scene, which is also a great way to feature this gorgeous paper. So what I did on this little guy was I actually used Stampin' Blends markers, which is most of us are pretty familiar with. And honestly, especially on really small images like this, you don't need any special techniques. I think I just used a single color here. I did do a little blending here with 2 different colors. And my little frog here, this is all done with Stampin' Blends markers. And one of the things that we love about Blends markers is you don't need to do anything special to use them, and they don't create any kind of like streak marks. So, you know, especially on something like this, you don't want to have those marks that look like you've been coloring. You want to have just that nice smooth look. So these are done with Blends markers. Well, I went to do a swap. My team does a swap with each new catalog, and we call it casing the catalog because we choose a stamp set and we choose one of the pre-designed cards or projects. Well, actually we only do cards for this swap, and we make X number of that particular card. Well, I just went through here and went, well, you know what? This is a great example of the stamp set And much as I love this, and if I'm going to make like 12 of them, that might be easier. But I thought, well, this little guy right here, you get the die cuts and everything. This would be a great example. Well, Stampin' Up! Produces what they call the recipes for the cards. And lo and behold, I went to check out the recipes, and this little guy is watercolored. And I went, oh, okay, well now, that kind of takes a whole different, that just kind of opens up a whole different kettle of fish, as it were. And I will say, typically I would not probably use watercolor for just one duck, but if I was making 12, so it was easy enough. And not that it's just, to me, to get out everything, I want to make more than one. So let me just show you really quick, and then we're going to get to watercoloring. The new catalog has a fabulous page here where they're going to show you everything you need for watercoloring, and I love this. So they tell you that you can paint with water, you can use watercolor pencils, and you can use spritzers, and you can use pastels. Now, they only give you the StazOn ink here, and technically, well, that's definitely what you want to use with water, which is one of the first thing I'm going to show you tonight. But even with the watercolor pencils, when you're using the blender pen, which you can use the watercolor pencils with water, I'm going to use them with blender pen tonight, but you can use them with Tuxedo, but it's going to bleed just a little bit. So we're going to use StazOn ink, and we're going to talk about StazOn ink. Okay. And Corinne, you've been trying to do realistic colors with the ducks. Now, I don't know if I'm going to help you with the realistic colors tonight, but we will talk colors anyway and see where we get on. So, let me grab my other. Now, when you're going to use water, on paper, you don't want to use basic white cardstock because it's going to buckle on you. What you want to use is watercolor paper. This is the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. I think it's on the same page in the catalog, but you can look this up. And this is actually artist quality 100% cotton paper. It's got quite a bit of heft to it, and it will definitely hold up to your water. Now, I'm going to stamp on both of these, and I'm going to stamp my little duck, and I'm going to stamp him with StazOn. Now, I'm going to give you several tips on StazOn. For one thing, I do my StazOn and my Memento inks. Both of these I store upside down, because with these pads, you want them like this because they are already being stored upside down. But these are linen pads, and they are, if you store them like this, you know, the ink is all sinking down to the bottom. So for me, I just like to do it this way. Now, when you ink up your image, you want to make sure that you are getting it everywhere. And I will say, I think that inking up StazOn with photopolymer can be a little bit challenging. You definitely want to have a really, really firm surface underneath you. And I'm just going to angle him like this because I'm going to cut him out with the die. And you do want to definitely press in and leave it for a couple of seconds, and then your photopolymer stamp is going to grab the paper. So you want to hold the paper down, and look how it's way too pale. Not happy at all. And this is actually what happened to me the other night. So this is why I wanted to give you some lessons. So we are going to start by getting that paper off of there because it ripped the paper right off. And let's see. We are going to ink this up. And I have had this pad for a long, long time. And I am just going to put this in like so and ink it up really good. Now, I'm not going to squeeze anymore, but I am just going to press that ink in a wee bit. Now, while that is sinking in just for a minute, I'm going to show you something else. When you use the StazOn ink, there is a separate StazOn cleaner. Now this one I've had for a long time. I think it has a different color label now, but I think it's the same. I think it's the same number. Anyway, this is a much more powerful cleaner than our Stamp and Mist. And let me just kind of take this just a moment. You know, we've gotten so used to using our chamois, and I do love the chamois. It has powerful, convenient properties. But this is water that's on here. And so for me, when I'm using particularly my cling rubber stamps, if I've been using them for a bit and I feel like they're not getting as clean as I would like, I will get out my Stampin' Scrub. Now this one, it's almost like a velvet here. And so the nap is what's going to help clean your stamps. And this is the Mist. We still have Stampin' Mist. I love this stuff. It has a gentle cleanser and a little bit of like an emollient, so it won't dry out your stamps like something like dishwashing liquid would. So this, you just mist one side and you use the other side to dry. Super simple, but I do use this frequently. It's really probably one of my favorite ways. Well, I do use, this is for convenience, but you know, when you need some heavy duty cleaning, you've been stamping a lot with your stamps, this is where you want to go. And this is what I'm going to use when I'm cleaning this after I've got the stays on. Now let me see, I've got another one here. Maybe this is the one I used already the other night and is already, hopefully this is a little bit more inked up. You see how it's going to take a little while for that to dry. And if I go ahead and stick my stamp in there, I'm going to have a right mess. So let's put this one aside and hope that I got one that has a little bit more ink in it for my demonstration. Okay, let's try again. We're going to ink up our little guy here, and you can ink him upside down or you can ink him right side up. Either way is going to work. So let's get him and try again. Hello, hello, ladies. Yes, Kim, the recipes are for demonstrators only. So that is not a document that is produced for public consumption. One of the many, many reasons you should join. That's better, but it's still not what it should be. So we're going to have to wait for this other little guy to come into play. So while we're waiting on him, while we're waiting for this to ink up a little better, and we will put some more ink on this one while we are waiting. I'm going to go ahead and put the pieces of my card together that I'm going to put my little duck on once we get him colored. And honestly, you know, this is actually a good lesson in what happens, and this is real life stamping, people. This is what happens to all of us. And you see, normally with StazOn, you get a really, really crisp image, and this is just definitely does not have enough ink. So we're going to come back to that. And while we are coming back to that, what we're going to do is we are going to put together our card. Now, I closed my catalog. So if you look here at this little duck, they used the Designer Series paper here, and they used this piece right here that looks a bit like a sweater to me, and they covered the entire card front. But I personally, most of the time, not always, I typically like that little frame around the outside. So I have two choices. I can do what they did in the catalog, and that is well, no, not what they did in the catalog. I thought I had a gray granite card base. It seems to have disappeared. So I guess we are going to go ahead and go with the Pebbled Path is the darker counterpart to gray granite. This is gray granite. That is the color that's in this suite. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and, there it is. It's the same color as my table, which is why it was just totally blending in. You see how I'm going to get a very different look if I go here. It's very soft and it's very pretty, but I think I want that little bit of contrast. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down. Excuse my arm. And look how, I mean, look, you wouldn't even need it. You would just need a greeting and you'd be there. So, but we're going to do something a little artsy tonight. And we're just kind of waiting for all of our ink to get ready. And then we're going to go for gold with it. Okay. And then if you look here, these pieces are popped up. So what I have is, these are going to be stuck to one another, and then this whole thing is going to be popped up on dimensional. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp my greeting right here. And they did that in Peach Pie. And I think, Corinne, you were the one who was talking about wanting to get some realistic colors with your ducks. And I will say, I think that if you use the watercolors, water painters, you can really, really blend in a way that I think you're going to be happy with. Now, the other thing I'm going to do while this is kind of setting, my inks are setting a little bit, is I'm going to take the opportunity to show you a couple of things about watercolor pencils that are super fun to use. Now, like I said, you can use ink with the, not ink, you can use a blender pen or you can use water painters. I prefer to use a blender pen with these, and I'll show you why. For one thing, you're going to get a softer look with these, and we'll get a few little scraps going here. So what I like to do, this is the two pencil packs together. One, the original or watercolor pencils #1 has, I think, 13 different watercolor pencils in it, and it's $18. The second set has 10 pencils, and it's $16. I just bought them all and put them all together because for me, you know, I need more watercolor pencils, not less. Now, one of the things that you can do here, I'm just going to grab my blender pen, is I can take something and I can just color it in, and then I can use my blender pen to just make sure, you see how it smooths it out, and it makes sure that I don't have any marks there. Now, typically I'm going to do this to clear my blender pen, but let me show you. So Corinne was talking about maybe getting some really nice colors for her ducks. So this is Coastal Cabana. What happens, this is probably a retired, yeah, that's that one's retired. So let me use one that's not retired, which is, those are, I probably need to get, I don't know if they've changed those or not. Somebody can tell me. But you know what? You probably have these same colors, so I'm just going to go ahead and use them. So this is, I'm using several different blues here. And let's just make a little palette. Oh, that looks like the same one. Huh, that looks like the same one, but it's not. 1, 2, 3, 4, is this the same one? Okay, let's get some green going here. This is a really dark green. That is garden green. And then let's get some Granny Apple green going here. And now let's just take our little guy here, and I'm just going to use this is just a total scrap. Will he fit on here? Will he fit there? Yeah, just. Okay. So let's just stamp our little duck, and we're stamping him in StazOn, our friend. Not StazOn, sorry. This is Memento. Now, what I can do is I can pick up these colors from here and add them to my duck, okay? I can color directly on the duck, or I can pick up colors and blend them out on here so that I achieve, you see how I'm getting now a greeny blue here? Because I'm adding different colors. And I think this, Corinne, might be what you're looking for. The ability to get those really, really more realistic nature colors in there. Now let's go back in here with some more of the blue and some more blue. And that has just created my own personal color. Now, if I want to go in here and I want to maybe make his chest kind of this yellow, and I'm going to make sure this doesn't have any color on it, and I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to blend it out. So it's pretty light, and that looks pretty good to me. Now, if I want to have his beak nice and orange, and maybe this is a clear pumpkin pie, great orange, but maybe I want to come in here with a little bit of Calypso Coral and give it a little bit of that pinky. So now I've blended 2 oranges, and then I'm going to come in here with my blender pen, make sure I don't have any blue in there, and just blend it out, and that gives me a custom color. And that is what I'm looking for. Now I could, if I wanted to, I could come in here after I've done that, and I can bring in my blends marker so that now I'm combining my different mediums. So I can come in here with this light gray granite, because I don't have a light gray granite in the pencils, and I can use my blends marker so that I now have my custom color here, but I have a straight gray granite here. Now, I have totally lost all ability to see comments because Facebook is doing, I don't know why, it does funky things on my computer. Ay, ay, ay. So I will come back to comments. So this is a way that you can create, using both your pencils, because your pencils are straight colors. We don't have end colors in the pencils. So let's just this is Cajun Craze. So let's put a little Cajun Craze in there, and I'm just scribbling, and then I'm going to bring in, I think there's an early espresso in here. And then these are both, pretty warm colors, but you remember I've got this gray head up here. So I'm going to bring a little bit of basic gray in here, and it looks kind of like a first grader just colored that. But now I'm going to come in here with my blender pen, and I'm just going to blend out these colors. And now I have a custom color that is a little bit of gray and a little bit of brown and a little bit of yellow. And that starts giving me that more custom look. There's not a pencil and there's not a marker that would give that look. Now notice with the marker, with the pencils, you do get a softer look. Having said that, let's come back in here and let's just lay on some more color, and let's see if we can make his feathers here really vibrant. Now the only thing is, you have to be mindful that your blender pen will start to pill. If you use it too much, it will start to pill the paper, and you don't want that to happen. So that is some fun ways to use the watercolor pencils and the blender pen, and we just used our Memento ink pad, which can be done. Didn't really seem to make any difference on that. Now, when you're using water, it's altogether different. So let's use some water and hopefully stamp this little guy and get some traction going here. Okay, here we go. Now, all the ink has really sunk down into my pad. So now I'm going to come along here and ink him up, and now let's see if we've got some traction here. Voila. Now we got a little bit too much of a good thing. So let's see if we can maybe bring him down just a little bit. I got maybe a little bit too much. Ah, now you see, that's pretty perfect right there. And I want to make sure that my StazOn has dried before I start putting water on it. And I'm just doing several of these guys because, like I said, if I have watercolor out, I'm just going to go ahead and do several. You could even do several of these and just have them ready if you didn't have a particular project that you wanted to work on, because to be honest, these little ducks go with a lot of things. I love the fact that the stamp set has a lot of really good greetings. However, I think this would make an adorable baby card. So I have my eye on that. Now, while this is drying for just a minute, let's talk about how we are going to clean this StazOn off this ink pad, or off the stamp. This is permanent ink. It is permanent ink, and I don't want it to be permanently on my stamp. And so what I'm going to do is, if I start with just my Stampin' Mist, and I'm just doing this by way of demonstration, really. If I put my mist on here, and again, this is just a gentle cleanser, and I do this and I dry it, yeah, no difference at all. Now, I have deliberately put a paper towel under here. You definitely want something to protect your table, which is why I'm using my glass mat tonight. You don't want to, let me tell you what this will do to a dining room table that is wood. Yeah, ask me how I know. Now, when I put this on here, it's going to start making that black. You see that? It's pulling that ink right up because this is a permanent ink and I'm trying to get rid of it. Now, you look at that mess. You see how all of that is coming off, and it would not come off if I did not have this StazOn cleaner. I've had this StazOn cleaner for years. It does not take a lot. And you do want to be mindful. When we first came out with photopolymer stamps, it was not even recommended that you that you use StazOn with them. So I think that the moral of the story is it's a very powerful cleanser. So you just don't want it to sit on there. Back in the day, with red rubber stamps that we had done a ton of watercoloring with, I mean, I can remember letting this StazOn cleaner sit on the stamp for like 5 minutes, and then you'd come back and it would release all of that ink. Yeah, you don't want to do that with your photopolymer stamps. It is a more delicate material, and I am still, look at how much it's still pulling off. Now I'm going to get way down into those little crevices, and this is actually perfect because I needed to let the ink dry just a little bit, make sure it's completely dry before I start adding water to it. And this is the perfect little task to do while I'm letting that dry. This will probably be the last go with this. Now you can see that my little duck is definitely more stained than he would be if I had only used Memento Black ink. But this is, this is what I wanted to be able to do, was to do some watercoloring with him. And it hasn't damaged the stamp. I'm being very careful. But I will say again, I would personally recommend that when you've used the StazOn cleaner, that you not just go to water and your chamois, but you go to your Stampin' Mist. When I first started as a demonstrator, the starter kit, I think it was $249 if I remember. And you didn't choose what you got, but this is one of the things you got. You got Stampin' Mist and you got a Stampin' Scrub because that was how you cleaned your stamps. We did not have photopolymer stamps, and we definitely did not have a chamois. So he looks pretty good. He looks pretty good. I could probably get a few more little crevices in there, and I might just take a toothbrush when I'm done. Okay, now here's my little duckies. And the first thing I'm going to do is, I have the different colors of ink that they had used when they were creating this little duck. So that was on the the recipes. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take, again, I've got plenty of paper towels. Now, with these water painters, you want to get it going. And there is a little place here where it says push. So that's what is you're going to push to get the ink, to get the, not the ink, to get the water flowing. And I am just going to start by putting a little bit of water all over because I don't want to go straight into the stamped image with colored ink because it will just suck right in. So I want to have a little bit of water on here already. I'm going to dab it just a wee bit. And that is going to be, it's like preparing the paper to receive the ink. Now, I want to pick up some ink with my little ink pad. Now, you know, back in the day when we had different style ink pads, and some of you may have the old ink pads, we used to do like this, and we would press them, and we would get a little pool of ink here. Well, I will tell you that with these new pads, my hands are not strong enough to do that. So what I do is I take these and I open them up, and I add a little bit of ink refill. Now I have something that is ready to work. What I do then is I push some of that water right into there, and then I move it around until I get a pale version, because now I could, if I wanted something really that strong, I could use that. But I don't really want that for this purpose. Now I'm going to do a totally different color than what they did in the original, and look at how deep that is. I mean, that right there is already pretty deep. So I don't think I would want to go any stronger, but it does kind of look like, you know, a mallard duck. I'm pretty happy with that color. Didn't mean to, but you know, that wasn't what they were using in the catalog, but it looks pretty cool. Now, so this will be our rogue guy that we're going to do a little bit different, because I did want to demonstrate that little technique for you, or you know, the way I do it. Now let's go back here and look to make sure. I know his beak is orange, and I believe his little bib is pink. And let me just double check to see. Something was green, and I think it's his feathers. I think it's his tail feathers. So let's just double check. Naturally, I didn't use a bookmark. Okay. Oh, green. Yeah. Okay. So his head is green. Okay. Let's us go with this. Now, I will say, I went very dark here. Typically, I like to start with my lightest color. So I'm going to start making the head with gray granite. And let's just go here. Now you can see where I've been messing with this here, and I want this to be a pretty light head. Even on my little rogue guy, I think we're going to make all of them. Now, these watercolor painters come in 3 different sizes. This is the finest one. It is the one I use the most. The really thick one is great when you want to do one of those watercolor wash backgrounds. Other than that, I don't, and there is a medium size, but yeah, I tend to like this fine one. Now look, you see how this is darker and this is lighter. I can always add more, but it's really hard to take color away. So I do like to start light, and then I can always add a little bit more color if I want to deepen it. So there's the heads all done. And I'm going to once again clear my little brush, and then we will move on to, oh, I think the head was supposed to be green. Oh well, we're gonna do a little. His bib was pink, and his beak and feet I know are orange, and they're using the new in colors because this is the colors. These are the colors that are in the paper. And we're just picking up colors from the paper. And you can see it's a different look than when you use the markers, the blends markers. It's definitely more saturated than when you use the pencils. One of the things in the catalog, they even show you, your kids or grandkids can color some images on your stamped projects using the watercolor pencils. When I was in elementary school, oh my gosh, we used to have these fabulous, fabulous pencils, and they weren't watercolor pencils, but oh my gosh, they must have been some kind of artist quality. And they must have had them at the dime store because that was where we shopped, but they would deliver so much color and they were really smooth. And oh my gosh, I used to love to color maps and things with those. Oh, they were fabulous. So there's my peach pie. Now I'm going to come back in. You know what? I think this was supposed to be gray granite. I think his head was supposed to be green and his tail feathers. So we will come back to do his little body in gray granite. And then we'll come back to, maybe we can brighten up his head, because I do think that the one that they have in the Stampin' Up! Catalog had a green head, now that I'm thinking about it. So I know I'm just rabbiting on here because I can usually look at comments while I'm working, but not with this. It takes a little bit more concentration, plus it's just not coming up on my computer at all. So it's in my phone, and that's going to be, if I look at that, I will not be able to get these little guys done. So you can see I am definitely making his little body. It's a darker gray granite. If I wanted it to be lighter, I would just come over here, add some more water, and just pick up a lighter version of that color. So what's great about that is you have the control of the depth of color that you want to use. And that is going to be that. Okay, now let's do the little pink chest. And then we're going to work on on his back feathers a little bit, and we're going to work on seeing if we can't blend a little bit. Now I'm going to, again, add some more water here so I get a really pale pink. I don't want this to be super bright. Now that's really pale, but I think that's kind of nice. It's like a baby pink there. Now watch what happens if I pick up more color. You see how it's going to be much darker? And these are all going to be cut out with my Stampin' Cut and Emboss. So I'm not too worried about getting out of the lines. I'm going to try to stay in. But this, I will say, when you use these water painters, you really do feel like an artist. And personally, I can't even draw a decent stick figure. So it's kind of fun to feel like an artist. And, you know, if you're looking for colors, like what colors you should use, with the ducks, you definitely could just look in, you know, you can just Google ducks and see the different colors if you want to go very natural, or you can just go with the colors that are in your designer series paper and do it that way. Okay, so this is our Granny Apple green. Am I even in the camera? I think I am. Okay. I feel like I'm flying blind here. Let me see one more time if I can get this to come up on my computer, because I can't see any of what I'm doing here. Okay. Hey, Yolanda's here, and Carol's here, and Margaret's here, Corinne's here, and Gail, and Kim, and Simone, hey, and Pat, and Jolene. Okay, ladies, and Kathy, and you know, once again, I am on here, and it is blinking me out of this. Really annoying. I don't know if it's on Facebook or my computer. Okay, but I think you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I want to make this a little bit darker, so I'm just going to bring that in. Now, I'm going to see what happens if I put a little, oh, look at there. I'm going to put a little green into his head and go right over that gray, and look at that. Look at that. See, it's much darker than I would if I were doing my green over here. Or I shouldn't say, it's just a little bit more dull, but that's kind of working for me. Now in the catalog, his little collar is just left white. I got the lines here, so I'll probably color that one. Let's color that one. We'll make it green. We'll make it kind of dark green because I messed up. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So now let's just bring these green feathers right in. And I hope you guys are, you know, getting a little bit inspired about doing some watercoloring if you haven't before, or maybe like me, you've had this water painters and just hadn't used them in like forever. So I tend to not want to do anything messy, but I wouldn't count this messy because it's pretty contained. Now, when you're using that, the embossing paste, that's my version of messy. And I do like the look, but it's a lot of mess for me. If I make you a card with that, I'm telling you, it'll be once in a lifetime, and it will be because I'm probably apologizing for something really bad. Okay, now I'm going to add a little, let's just mess with this a little bit. I like that. See, we did that in, I started him in Pretty Peacock, and look how pretty when you put that, when you put the Granny Apple Green on top of that. I think it looks really good. So maybe we will go ahead and use this little guy too. And let's just see what happens if we make his body really dark compared to the others. Let's just kind of vary it up a little bit and see. And this kind of shows you how you can blend the colors right on the actual stamped image, or you can blend them in your little palette over here. You can do all kinds of fun things with them. Now, you do want this to dry. It doesn't take a long time. And if you're trying to hasten the dry, you can always just turn on your heat tool. Now you see I've made him a lot darker, and I like the look of that. This little guy, yeah, he's a little bit. The other nice thing about if you're going to watercolor, if you do a bunch of them at once, you can use your favorite birds for the ones that you really like, and then you can just set the others aside or send them to the people that are not your favorites. So, you know. And I said that because, yeah, there's some people on here that I know will appreciate that. Okay, so let's start putting it all together. What I'm going to do before I cut these guys out is let me just clear my decks a little bit. I was going to demonstrate the blends, but you know, we kind of do that on a regular basis, and you can see the way it looks here. So just for time's sake, I am going to pack all of these guys up in here, because if I'm going to get my cut and emboss, even my mini out, I want to make sure that I'm not knocking everything over and making a right royal mess. Okay, I will say I've been doing a lot of, not really renovation in my stamping studio. It's more like reorganization and moving stuff around. And that is thanks to my studio staff and their fabulous ideas, in particular, Lena. And so we are getting close to, you know, another week or two, and I'm going to do a craft room tour. Now, I went ahead and punched these out off camera just to get these ready. Now, I do love the fact that you get 2 of these little cattails in one pass through your cut and emboss machine. So we are going to use those. You get a lot of dies with this. And I do love the fact that, like these, you don't need to stamp first. Some of them, like the duck we're using tonight, you would stamp and then punch out. But there are some dies where you just punch them out and they're all done. So I like to have that kind of versatility. I'm not big personally on lots of little tiny pieces, but I will say these ducks stole my heart. So I know that some of my studio helpers were maybe muttering under their breath a little bit about how many of these do we have to cut for Card Club. But it is all done with love, and it's all done with great attitudes, and I greatly appreciate my helpers because I could not do what I do without them. Okay, so these are going to all go on this card here, but we are going to cut out our little ducks and decide which ones we want, or which one we want to use on the card. Okay, my cut and emboss machine is probably right in front of me. Oh, yes, here we go. Okay. And what I am going to do, just to be on the safe side, is I am going to secure these little guys with a Post-it note, a mini Post-it note, because I will say this is not like just stamp and punch out. I've watercolored these guys, so I want to make sure that I can get them done correctly with the machine. And because I'm using the mini, I need to cut these out like so, and then give them a pass through. Okay. So I can see one comment. Lisa's telling me thanks for all the different ways of showcasing how to do this. Yay, yay. That makes me happy. And you know, I feel like that if I can save you a few mistakes, then I have succeeded. So let's line him up, and then we're going to secure him. And he's not very secure. Oh, duh. I need my other plate. Yep, it's shifting. It is shifting on me. I don't want that. And this is, you know, like I showed you at the beginning, this paper is thick. This watercolor paper, that is just not sticking at all. Maybe because, I don't know why that's not sticking. Let's get something else. Hang on. Hopefully this is not going to stick to my paper. We'll see. So we're gonna get out the washi tape on this little guy. Okay, there we go. Now he's staying put. And we are going to do that. And we're going to do that. And yes. Okay, he is going right through. And I think that he is going to come out brilliantly. Now watch this. He'll probably pick up the This is why we're doing this together. I just ruined a duck. The washi tape, I ruined 2 ducks. The washi tape tears the watercolor paper. Okay, we are back to, this is why you make more than one. I can probably salvage him. We are going to go back to we're just going to use more than one. And you know, one reason is probably because this is cotton paper. It's not like our regular paper that will release, but it is not wanting to hold. Now, I wonder if I pull it over here and have it stick to that's better. Okay, work quickly, Candy, before it starts pulling up on you. Okay, let's try again. So, another top tip, do not use washi tape when you are running your watercolor paper through your die cutting machine. It will rip your paper and therefore your project. And you see that came right up. I think I probably could add a little bit of color to that leg, but I think I'm just going to pop this little guy in. And that way we have a second one to go with and to decide which one we want to use. Okay, here we go. Last one. And I will say as well, you know, with these little watercolor guys, they do have a very different look, and I think they have an artist quality look to them, and imperfections are welcome. And that is the joy of handmade. It's the joy of artistry. And so I don't have to worry about, you know, if I got out of the lines a little bit or something like that, it's okay. Am I going? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I've probably got a giant hand in front of you. This is why I don't like to die cut on camera. However, sometimes you just have to. Okay. Now we are ready to put this little guy together. Woohoo. I got 2 Cute, cute little duckies. Put that on my magnet so I don't lose it. And let's put this little guy together now. Now, you tell me, are we going to use the left or the right on our card? And another tip for you is that when you are affixing these little pieces, you definitely want to use glue dots. They are going to be your best friend. So what I'm going to do first is, okay, I see some lefts and I see a right. I'm going to put this here, right in the middle. This is kind of an interesting card layout. I never would have thought to do this, but I do like it, and I do like to be stretched. Okay, I think the lefts are winning. So I think this little guy, let's see, I need some dimensionals. So let's grab these, and this whole piece here is going to be popped up on dimensionals. This card, interestingly enough, it is a Stamp, Ink, and Paper card. Now, it has die cuts, and it has designer series paper, but there are no dots, no embellishments, no ribbon, which is quite different from what I typically use. And that is going to go a little bit above center. And then I think our little green fellow is the one who's winning. And I will say it goes more here. He's probably a little bit too dark for what we've done, but I will definitely use him on another card. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pop him up on dimensionals as well. And one of the reasons is it's going to allow me to tuck in some of these die cut pieces behind. And I think that is going to look really, really good. Okay, so let's just grab these guys and pull them right off. Okay. And then he is going to go right here. Ha-ha. Now, let me show you how the glue dots are going to be your friend on these dies. So we are going to put this right under like so. Now, I will say this one, I'll probably just put a little bit of seal. Like so, and we'll put that underneath like there, so he's on the little lily pad. And now we are going to tuck these right up. You see how that pop of color? And I love the way it picks up this pretty peacock little grasses here. So I am going to put a mini glue dot right on the bottom. And that's really all I need. And that is going to get tucked right in there like so. I'm liking it, digging it, it's good. And then I'm going to do another one. He's going to be in a lot of tall grass. This is a card that has a lot of really cool elements. And all I'm doing is I am casing the catalog. But I will tell you, when you go to case the catalog, I mean, those are made by these artists. And yeah, they are some challenging cards. Now, I don't need that little guy, I don't think. Let's put these down. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe in the catalog they did use a little die cut, and I just didn't realize it. Or not a die cut, one of those little, let's see, I'm trying to tuck this in a little bit, and there we go. We're going to do it like that, so it's peeking out. And then they had another one of the bigger water lilies. Let's see if I can find it, or if we're just going to use there it is. And you can see why the little the mini glue dots are just perfect, because then I can just pop this down. Yeah, I think as I'm looking at this, yeah, I turned in my swaps. I already mailed them, but now that I'm looking at this, I think that there is a little tiny, I think they did put a little tiny embellishment in there. Let me see if I can locate mine. Actually, let's see. They had 3, but it's a little bit, okay, that works. I kind of like this. Now, let's see if I can find those embellishments. The ones that are open. Or, you know what? Let's just find, I know exactly what I'm going to use. Right here. Not a rhinestone. Rhinestones would look cute, but I think that, let's see, can I find them? Ooh, that would look kind of cute. Okay, I'm getting some love for my little duck here. Look how pretty these would look. I think that's what I'm going to do to add just a little bit of shine. I had one of these open that was almost gone. Let's see. Haha, actually that has the ones I need. I'm going to pick up these little guys right here, and that is going to go right in the middle of those little flowers. And I think, so ladies and gentlemen, just to recap, this is watercoloring with Stampin' Up! Water Painters. And we also did a little bit of a demonstration with using the pencils. Now you see the difference, how vibrant this is and how soft this is. It's not a bad difference, it's just a difference. So depending if you're wanting a really soft look, I do think this would look cute for a baby card. And I was really just kind of playing around with the colors. We weren't really, like this, we already kind of had a plan. So I am liking this. I could add that third one there. Yeah, I think I will. So this is a fabulous idea for using water painters, and I will give you the tutorial for this card in an upcoming email news. I don't think this will be ready for tomorrow, but I will have it pretty soon. And don't forget that these are 2 of the cards that we're doing with Blends markers for my stamp club this month. And that is, that is open for registration, and I will put the link on here. So super fun. The paper, you just can get so many different looks with it. The paper is incredibly versatile. But I think the whole suite is just super fun and really easy to use. So these are the dots that I'm going to be giving with my stamp club. They're actually part of the suite, and you get the Pretty in Pink, you get the Gray Granite, and let's see. Here's a couple more of the cards from Stamp Club. And then this is the Peach Pie. So these are all different cards for Stamp Club for June, which is open for registration. So, tips and tricks for 3 different ways to watercolor the Charming Ducks with watercolor pencils, with water painters and watercolor paper, and our tried and true Blends markers, which is so quick and so easy. But these are super fun to do as well. So that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to go back to all of the comments. I'm going to go make a cup of tea, and I will sit down and look at comments and reply and respond, because I couldn't do it while I was watercoloring and while my computer was just being a bit of a brat. So that's it for tonight. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I really appreciate your support. Every Thursday night, I am here for Thursday Night Stamping, and that is on Facebook Live at facebook.com/Sweet Stamper. And then I download this live video to YouTube, and so you can watch it in either place. Thanks again for tuning in. Take care, and God bless.